Fun facts: how scientists measure climate change. There are many skills that scientists must learn in order to conduct their research, but the most important one is observation. And it's not just for scientists. Anyone can learn to be more observant. Before the invention of microscopes, telescopes, and other tools, scientists simply recorded what they observed. Through these observations, they drew conclusions about the world around them. Some observations changed our lives forever and saved millions of people. There were many great observers in the past. Thanks to their keen senses, they discovered life-saving drugs and interventions and invented machines that we still use today. Edward Jenner was a physician who observed that milkmaids infected with cowpox never got smallpox, a deadly disease that killed millions and left survivors with deep scars. But with this observation, Jenner developed the very first vaccine, which led to the eradication of smallpox. Alexander Fleming was a microbiologist who observed that bacteria didn't grow around colonies of mold. This led to the discovery of antibiotics, a cure for bacterial infections. Charles Darwin was a scientist who observed that the Galapagos Islands were home to 18 species of finches, but Ecuador, the mainland, only had one type. This observation developed into the theory of evolution. Making good observations is only the first step when it comes to making scientific discoveries. Being curious and asking questions about these observations you just made are the next steps. Scientists have observed that since the Industrial Revolution, humans have been pumping more and more greenhouse gases into the air. This raises the question, what happens when there is too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? Since the Earth is a large, complex ecosystem, scientists might also ask, what are some unintended consequences of trapping too much heat from the sun? Of course, the most important question that everyone is asking today is, how will climate change affect our lives, our food source, and our ability to get clean drinking water? Sometimes scientists can find mathematical patterns in nature. The Fibonacci sequence is an example of this. This series of numbers represents patterns in many living things, from seashells to ferns. The golden ratio is another pattern that is found all over nature. The proportions of the human face, for instance, is based off of this set of numbers. Sometimes scientists can find patterns in data that they collect. For example, by looking at average global temperatures for the last few decades, we can see that the world is getting hotter and hotter each year. Satellite images from NASA help scientists measure large things such as glaciers. By charting the size of a glacier over time, scientists can tell if the ice sheet is growing or shrinking. This helps us track climate change. Did you know that you can practice the scientific method in your everyday life? Bake 2 batches of cookies, one with regular flour and one with gluten-free flour. There, you've just conducted an experiment. You can learn some basic scientific skills on your own. The easiest one to practice is observation. Sit down somewhere and pick something to observe. Write down all the characteristics you see, hear, feel, and smell. You never know when an observation will lead to a new discovery. What can you observe where you live that could lead to a new discovery?